Hi, this is Dr. April Meganson, and today I'm gonna show you how you can find statistical significance and effect size using Google Sheets. So right here we have some data. We have a student subset, 7 students, with their pre and post data, their pre-attendance, their post-attendance, and their pre-grades and post-grades. So obviously there's some kind of intervention that's been going on, and so what we're gonna look at is, was there any growth, and was that growth statistically significant, and what the effect size of that growth is. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to change the size, but we're going to find the average or the mean of each of these columns. So we just go over to the sigma and we're going to click average, and then we're going to highlight what we want the computer to average for us. Press return. And there's our average. And we're going to do this for every single item on here. So what we're hoping for is obviously that there's some growth, right? So in this particular instance, we want to see a growth in attendance, grades, and whatever this knowledge is that we're testing students on to see if our intervention was effective. Now, if you're, average, click on all. So if you are calculating something like let's say discipline referral, where we actually want them to go down lower, then you're still looking at the difference and you don't want there to be growth, you want there to be a decrease. You can still do all of these with that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the t-test, or the p-value. So we're going to determine, we can see clearly that there is some kind of growth in all areas. So the pre-test knowledge and post-test knowledge, there's about a 2.5, 2.43 exactly growth. For here, attendance is 80% attendance before the intervention, 86% attendance. After the intervention, 73% grades, average grades, and then 84% average after that intervention. So what we're going to look at is how can we find if this is actually statistically significant. So we're going to go over here to the sigma, we're going to go to all, and we're going to go to t-test. You're going to have to you're going to have to go far down this row, but you're going to look for t-test. Now if you're doing this in Excel, it's a little bit easier because it comes up with what the questions are. Here you're just going to have to remember. So you always do highlight the first row, we're going to put a comma. You're going to highlight the second row of data, the pre and then the post. You're going to put it as a two-tailed, meaning that technically this knowledge could have grown or it could have decreased. So we want to make sure that we're looking at both of those areas. And we're going to put a 1 because it is a paired t-test, meaning student A's pre and post tests are scored together. They're matched. Press enter. And here we find that the p-value is below 0.05. So yay, this was statistically significant. Now, now let's try our pre-attendance and post-attendance. So I'm going to click here. Again, I'm going to go up, click all, and then click on t-test. And again, I'm going to have to remember to first row, comma, second row, comma, 2-1, enter. Bummer. So here we can see that the difference could have been an accident, a fluke, by chance. So even though there is a difference, this difference doesn't have a relationship, or the probability of a relationship with our actual intervention is very low. So that's kind of a bummer, but it's, something that we need to look for. So then I'm going to do the last one. Again, we highlight the pre, comma, post, comma, two-tailed, and it's matched. You can click on this button right here, and it kind of tells you, specify the type of test. and then you can learn more and it will go into more detail. So if you don't have it matched up like we do, there is another, you would just have to type in a different number. And here we go. This was also significant, statistically significant. So yay, those are some good findings. So we can say, okay, it looks like the probability of this being by chance is very low, meaning there is a relationship between this intervention and the growth, or this intervention and the GPA growth. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start finding effect sizes. So the thing that you have to do is you have to find the standard deviation. Okay, so again, we're going to go up here to the formulas. We're going to click all, and we're going to look for standard deviation, STDEV. And then again, we're just going to highlight this row, press enter, and it's going to create the standard deviation for all these, for each, both the pre-test and the post-test. So just kind of remembering, the standard deviation finds the kind of how far off the average, or how far away from the average is each one of these scores. There's a lot of different standard deviation options here for more rigorous kind of research, but I don't think that you're going to need that. I think the standard deviation one that we are using is the best one to use for this type of for this type of statistical analysis. Okay, so once we find this, so this is kind of where I'm at when it comes to this. So there are a few ways, and you have to do like a few different things to get the effect size, or you can type in effect size calculator and they'll do all the work for you. And I like that. I like when other people do the work for me. So I'm going to put in this information. So for group 1, the mean we already found up here is 18.43. The standard deviation we just found is 1.902. I'm just going to do 3 again here. So I'm just going to, again, I just like it. I like it to look cleaner. There's 7 students, so I'm going to type in 7. So obviously I've done this before, 28.6. The standard deviation I had put as 3.29. We could put it as 3.288, and 7 students, and it's going to calculate it. We're going to find down here is 0.9047. So we're going to want to write down here again, we're going to write effect size. And it's 0.90905. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Then we're going to go over, so we're going to skip now attendance because we found out it's not statistically significant, so it doesn't matter the effect size. It would not matter the effect size, so we're going to skip right over to our grades. So then we're going to reset it and do it again. So the mean for our grades, remember, was 0.73. The standard deviation was 0.106. And again, the sample size was 7. 0.84. Oops, sorry. 0.085. And the sample size 7. And calculate. And here we can see Cohen's d is 1.14, which is a very large size. So if we remember from our presentation, 0.2 is considered a small effect size, 0.5 is medium, and 0.9 or larger is considered large. So effect size kind of talks about the meaningfulness of the data. And a lot of times, like, okay, we're looking here and we're seeing, oh my gosh, look at that's an 11% growth in GPA. that makes sense to us because we can understand what GPA is. But when we're talking about this growth here for the knowledge, that 2.43 number might not make as much sense, but by saying it has a large effect size, it means that it was a meaningful impact.